Hey guys, I wanted to tell a story of mine and why you shouldn't stick to something which seems off. It will backlash soon or later. No image here, you can scroll further. So at the beginning of 2023 I bought some of these old vintage Charlie McCarthy ventriloquist dummies from a Etsy vendor, manufactured in the 70s. I'm living in Germany, bought it from the US. He looked like most ones you'll find online, missing the top hat and monocle. Why though? No clue, guess I was curious and wanted to conquer a fear. Bad idea. After that thing arrived, I just felt off. I've been afraid of dolls for my whole life, with a lot of sleepless nights as a kid, and was indeed so terrified, yet fascinated, that I essentially created a bond with that doll to cope with the anxiety. A strong bond, we were best friends, and I even took him around with me. Had no choice tbh. Many really bad things happened ever since, and from the get-go, everyone hated my ventriloquist. The father of my best friend even warned me that I won't get rid of this guy. And I gotta tell you, I couldn't deal with that anxiety. It ate me alive on an subconsciously level. I always had to have him around and freaked out whenever I tried to place him out of sight, for example letting him sit in the hallway. Big nope, I didn't even want to go home with that situation. Living alone in a house, there is no one else around. I've gotten really ill a couple times, really unusual diseases, during that time, and, with that happening, had a lot of stress with my family, lost a lot of friends, also 2 girlfriends. I remember them not only hating the doll, but starting to hear voices and stuff. And they both told me about the same experiences they had with these whispers. It wasn't like some schizophrenic is telling you a story. It's been true terror from some women which I haven't seen again after that incident. Truly, like that thing tried to isolate me from my family or break relationships. Couldn't even explain many conflicts with friends or family, they just happened out of nowhere. I also gotta admit, I'm a grown businessman, over 6 feet, with some hard challenges in life. I don't know what's freaking me out beside dolls. Yet I heard him talk a couple times too, and I'm dead serious. This fucker absolutely was alive. I don't wanted that to be true. Let me tell you about the worst thing, OMG. The fucking noise he did whenever I turned the lights out at night. This nasty snapping plastic on plastic sound with his mouth opening and closing. I mean, I heard that quite often while playing with him, so it was familiar, and it terrified me to hear that at night. So much indeed, I couldn't count how often I had to sleep with light during that 1.5 years of having him around. Couldn't get rid of him, don't ask me why, was impossible. So I remember having him sitting next to my bed or in front of it most of the time to have it on sight, yet I've been wrong with my memories. I didn't notice him multiple weeks, and I feel like afterwards, he has been wandering around here, changing positions, and at the end with him sitting on the shelf next to my bed, his hand or head position changed quite a lot. But I stopped touching, dude, it freaked me out. I just tried to fade him out as best as possible. Without really wanting that to be true, I started to lock doors whenever I've been in another room, and since I've been working at night most of the time, I always felt being watched, or felt like he will suddenly appear behind me in my shop or something. It's been an subconsciously phenomenon. I always kinda knew what was going on, but I've been too afraid to admit. My Discord friends claimed quite often that he moves in the background, which I just accepted. I mean, he probably did that, right? And one time someone spoke about him, my laptop crashed for the first time ever and I couldn't reboot it for hours. I coped with all that signs for many months, with many things slipping in between before things rapidly changed to worse, with me having the worst, most horrific nightmare episodes ever. And I mean crippling nightmares which absolutely wrecked me. Never had them before. It's been more severe than my worst fears I had during childhood, for example. It has gotten to a point where I couldn't sleep with the lights out for 2 weeks in a row, and I started to constantly look up the shelf if he's still there. And the nightmares just did not stop. It's been so agonizing. 2 weeks before I got rid of him, some girl talked to me on an online chat. I really had the feeling that he just read the chat with her, because my feeling regards him got even more uncanny. Worst part is, as most people, she randomly started to talk about my ventriloquist without any reason. And 2 days before I finally decided to part ways. Oh Lord, did he change? Back in 2023, I mean, he looked terrifying but quite happy and childish. I got goddamn goosebumps that night holding him in my hand. He looked so goddamn evil, I've been shivering OMG. He looked old, angry, had a shit ton of new folds, and I had a feeling he knows that I'm going to get rid of him. His stares. Man, paralyzing, following eyes, and a pure fucking haunted gaze. That's not been Charlie McCarthy anymore, folks. That was some grim evil dummy. Since that's been urgent, I immediately took tape and made a thick bundle out of that guy. Really looked like some dead body from a crime scene. And TBH, I thought he will freak out at this point, biting off my fingers and stuff. I've been in shock. Locked him in my fireplace essentially, closed the door and felt relief. However, this didn't last long. I still couldn't sleep. I mean, he could have moved around in a violent manner to break the glass or stuff, and yeah, it was only tolerable for a single night. Pretty sure he would break free and kill me. On the other hand, I thought he won't expect me to really light him, like I will feel sorry or something. Long story short, one day after, I burned him in my fireplace together with incense from a local Catholic priest, which I got gifted a while ago as if I'd need it soon or later. And afterwards I gotta say that the many people which warned me have been right, and that you're essentially allowing something truly demonic into your home by doing things like that. I wouldn't call him haunted from the get-go. Maybe he was. However, he gnawed on my soul in such an agonizing manner which seemingly left me in some sort of semi-paralysis for 1.5 years. Really felt like he feasted on my energy, but I couldn't part. Too great of a terror to think about him suddenly reappearing after selling him or throwing him away. Conquering a fear may be great, but it turned into a living nightmare. Don't recommend something like that. Generally fooling around with some wicked stuff. Stay away from that. It ruined me, guys. I still try to calm down nowadays after, not understanding how I could even sleep next to that thing. I'm sorry about not delivering a linear story, and I probably miss a lot of details, but I'm so done OMG. Just wanted to write that down because there ain't that many real ventriloquist stories out there.